Okay, welcome back to the next part of the video. In the last video, we completed all the setup for getting our maneuver complete, and we did the ejection burn to head out to Venus for our sling, which we will then, do a sling around Venus and come back to Earth. And we're definitely pushing things on the fuel. If we take a look here at burn time calculator, we have 403 meters per second left, and if we include our RCS, we have 784 meters per second. We do have the option of getting rid of the spent main tank, and I think that's probably a good idea. I don't want to run the risk. So let's see how much extra DV that gives us. So we'll come up here to the payload editor, and we should have dumped this sooner. We should have dumped it while we were after we got up into orbit, but whatever, we'll get rid of it now. Open the cargo bay door, and the one I'm talking about is the main fuel tank. It's empty, we spent it, and if we had dumped it after we got up into orbit, we probably would have even saved a little bit of fuel on that eject burn, but that's okay. I'd really like to keep it because it does make things a little bit more complicated, but if we get rid of it, we will have a little bit of extra DV. So let's deploy that.
Payload deployed.
And there it goes. Let's close those doors. And while those are closing, let's see what that did for our delta V. Not a whole lot. Only gave us an extra 50 meters per second. But, that actually could be the difference between success and failure, so you never know. Just waiting for those doors to close. There they are. Turn the APU off immediately, because with this expert configuration we only have a total of something like 30 minutes of APU, and we're going to need most of that for when we get back to Earth. So there's our external payload, and it's going to be in some weird orbit around the sun. It'll make its way over toward Venus because we had it with us when we did the burn, but it won't be with us for the mid-course correction, so it probably won't make it anywhere near Venus. Okay, let's unfortunately the mission timer didn't start. I've noticed that when you have the normally when you take off, you get wheels up, the mission timer starts. But since we were attached to the Falcon Heavy, we never got wheels up, so it never started, and I didn't notice it till now. So we can't start it because we're not landed, but we can start an interval timer. So we'll do that. But we've only been gone for like 45 minutes. Just long enough to get up into orbit and complete the eject burn. Okay, let's bring up this view. Have transx over here. I guess we'll bring up orbit on this side.
Rotation.
And we'll kill rotate. And now we'll fast forward to get away from the Earth. Go to 100x for now, until we get out a little way. And go to 1000. I'm not entirely sure when the most ideal time to do the mid-course correction is. I used to always think that it was best to start it as soon as you broke away from stage 1, but Dimitri has shown me conclusively and irrefutably that that is not always the case. But what we'll do for sure is we'll get out away from Earth till we get out of that stage, and then what we'll kind of do is keep an eye on the closest approach for what we're seeing over here, because Dimitri showed me that when we go to Mars, the best time to do the mid-course correction is when you see the closest approach reach the bottom point, when it gets down to the point where it won't go any lower, and then it starts counting back up. And the best time to do the mid-course correction is when it reaches that lowest point. And then kill rotate. And let's speed things up. Let's go to 10,000. And we should be breaking out of the stage pretty soon. And when we do, we'll probably see this number jump. I noticed that a lot in TransX. When you break out of a stage, your approach will suddenly just change dramatically. Let's check orbit MFD. Yeah, we're down to 0.04, so just very soon the stage is going to update. And I'm just curious to watch that closest approach to see if it just jumps significantly. Just waiting for that stage to update. And this is still counting up. It's like waiting for water to boil for that stage. If I go to 10,000, the second I hit 10,000, it'll jump. So I'm just going to be patient and stick to 1,000 for now. Zero 0.02. Alright, just have to be patient. Still waiting for the stages to update. This is still climbing. And there it is. And you saw how much that changed just as soon as the stage updated. I can't even remember what the number was before, but it's significantly different. It was 60 something. So now what I want to do is just see if that's going up or down. It's going down. So when we go to Mars, or what Dimitri showed me was that when he went to Mars, he waited for that closest approach to reach a point where it wouldn't go any lower, and that's when he did the mid-course correction. Now, I'm hoping that that works just as well for going to Venus, but it may not necessarily be true. We'll see. me just think about this for a second. I guess what I could do is set up a maneuver here. And actually, before we go any further along, I think it's always a good idea just to save your mission at like key points. So I'm just going to Control S, and just to remember that this is the point where we just did break away from stage 1. Now let's just actually take a look at our future stage here. We got that way out, and of course we're nowhere even close to Earth. Not surprising. So let's just kind of take a look then and see what a maneuver would cost at this point. So maneuver mode on. And yeah, we'll set the date forward by 100. So instead of 7765, we'll go to 7875 or something close to that. It doesn't have to be exact, but about there. That gives us 14 minutes. And let's start with prograde. And you can see that's coming way down. But now that we're roughly in that area, let's come over to this stage. Because again, we're trying to set up the sling. We don't necessarily need a very low closest approach. We need the relative inclination to be 0 and the PE ratio to be close to 1. That's the target, that's the goal. So let's see what this would cost us to get it set up here. Let's see if we can back off the prograde. Looks like we can. Let's throw in some outward. Okay, I think we need to go between prograde and outward. So negative outward is kind of bringing this around more that way. And then prograde is pushing it more out that way. Maybe some plane change at this point. Not really helping. So outward. Maybe go all the way down. Maybe some plane change now. Yeah, that's helping. It's pretty close. Let's not go all the way with it. Let's go to prograde and now a plane change. Back off there a little bit. Go back to prograde. Actually, let's back off the prograde a little bit and go to outward. Or rather, plane change. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Now, a little bit of prograde. So that's basically ballpark. It's close enough. We don't need to worry about it exactly for now. Well, let's see what that would cost us. 53 meters per second. It's pretty reasonable. Seems like it anyway. Let's make an actual note of that, because I'm not going to do the burn at this point. Because fuel's a premium. So that was 53. Actually, before I write it down, let's go forward here. And let's just get all this straightened out. Something like that. Now back to the slingshot and back to the maneuver. And we'll do an update. And we're still pretty good. So that maneuver would cost us 53, that's just 53.15 meters per second. So that's kind of our benchmark. We need to beat that number. If we don't beat that number at a later date, then we would have been better off doing the maneuver here. But I think we can beat it. So let's turn maneuver mode off. And we'll go forward. Warp time forward further. And what we're going to watch is we're going to watch this closest approach. And when it hits its lowest point, then we're going to do our maneuver. And one other thing.
Translation. Rotation.
If we rotate prograde to the sun, and leave the vessel in this position, apparently, I just remembered this. I remember Dimitri telling me that if you're prograde to the sun while you're doing time warp, if the vessel starts to spin, it will only, if I understand it correctly, it will only rotate. It'll only roll. It won't do all the different motions. It'll only roll, I think. Okay, going to warp time forward now. See, that's coming down. And I think the idea here for this getting lower is the lower that is when we do our maneuver, the less fuel it's going to cost us to do the maneuver. You know, if this gets all the way down to, say, 100 M, then when we set up the maneuver, it'll be cheaper than 53.15. So let's just warp time forward, and we're just watching that number. Actually, let me do one more thing too. 56589, and we're going to be 56707. So something to bear in mind when you're going to Venus is that it doesn't take long to get there. So you've got to be make sure you don't get carried away with the time warp and blow by it. Yeah, I mean, we're only looking at, 100 and some days, so be careful with the time warp. Just watching this number. Okay, we'll go to 100,000. We still got 100 days to go. Back off the time warp. Yeah, 100 days to go. This number is still coming down. And just out of curiosity to test this theory, let's set up a maneuver now and see what it would cost. Because before, this number was 500 and something. Now it's all the way down to 132. So let's test the theory. Maneuver mode on. Update, and I don't really remember what variables were doing the most for us, so we'll just kind of start over. I think we were using prograde. yeah, you can see we're only 9 meters a second here, and we're already, you know, it's already looking a lot better. It's only 13 meters a second. Okay, let's try some outward now. Okay, prograde. Okay, that's really close. Yeah, 15 meters a second. So huge difference. Let's make a note of that. It's actually, yeah, 15.91 meters a second. Just by waiting for that closest approach to come down. So we'll definitely push forward even farther to see if we can do even better. So maneuver mode off.
Translation. Rotation.
And we'll continue forward at 1,000, 10,000. 100,000. My only thinking is that there would be a crossover point somewhere where if you got too close to Venus before you did your mid-course, then it might actually end up costing you more fuel. But we've still got a little ways to go. Quite a ways to go. We've still got 77 days. And that number's still going down. You can see it's kind of slowing down, so we're kind of bottom. We're getting near the bottom, I think. 50 days. Yeah, you can see it's really slowing down. Yep, there's the bottom, or close to it. 66 still going down. 47 days out. Okay, we've reached the bottom. If I keep going forward, it's going to go up. So let's do the maneuver now. Maneuver mode on. Update. Bump the date forward. Let's first reset it. Now we'll bump the date forward to 8244. That'll give us 14 minutes, which is way more than we need. It's good enough. And prograde. Let's reset prograde. It's not really doing anything. Let's start with plane change then. That's a lot of plane change. We definitely won't be doing that. Let's look at outward. So in theory, we should be able to beat 15.91 meters a second. Let's put in this outward. 23, but usually when you do a combination of outward and plane change and whatnot, sometimes they cancel each other out. So even though that says 22 at the moment, it may go down. That's, I'm pretty sure some other combination of variables will be better. So let me reset outward for now. That's 42. So let's reset plane change. Yeah, that's a mess. Let's start over. I was thinking maybe if I put in a lot of prograde in one direction and then the other variables would cancel it out, but that doesn't seem to be working. So let's reset everything. Let's update. So it looked like outward was treating us the best, but I don't understand why we're not able to beat that 15.91 meters per second since the closest approach is so much lower. I guess we're just going to have to go with this. It'll be around 25. I'll have to ask Dimitri what I'm doing wrong here, or if he can beat this number. Before I do the burn, I'll quick save. Actually, let me quick save now because I'll forget. Okay, anyway, we're in the ballpark here, so let's go forward to stage 4, forward to stage 3, and let's set up our sling direct. Okay, now back to Slingshot, back to the maneuver, update, actually view maneuver, now update, And now we'll fine-tune this. Just checking to make sure I haven't passed the time. That's looking pretty good. I think I'll go with that. So 22.53. No, it's okay. I mean, for some reason it's costing us an additional almost 7 meters per second. It's not a huge difference. Alright, let's get in position.
Translation. Rotation.
Okay, there we are, we're in position. I'll just wait. Actually, I'll go ahead and do a little bit of 10x. Now I will do this burn until the delta V is down to maybe like 1 meter. Then I'll turn maneuver mode off. And then I'll look at the slingshot to finalize the last few bursts. Okay, we're getting close to that point. Green X is lined up. Burning in 3 seconds. And burning.
Translation.
Now we'll turn maneuver mode off. And we'll watch the slingshot here for any final
Rotation. Translation.
And these are all control thrusts that I'm doing at the moment. And I would say that looks really good. So we'll do another save after that burn's done. And we'll call that apart. That was the main part of the journey between Earth and Venus. Finished the first mid-course correction, and with any luck we'll be able to get most of the way over there without having to do too much more of a mid-course. And we're still pretty good on fuel. I mean, we've only used, well, that was it right there, 22 meters a second. So if we look at burn time calculator, and we'll put in our new number for whatever RCS we have left, which is 713.4. So we still have about 800 meters a second. So things are looking pretty good. If you have any questions about this part of the video, leave your questions down below. And if you liked what you saw, leave a comment, and I typically reply to just about everything. And I will see you in the next part.